Hello and welcome to Gapeys Garden. Today we're going to do a fig update. I'll show you a few figs that we had figlets on that had the Breba drop, unfortunately, and we also had a couple that were hiding some Breba figs that I missed in our last update that are looking really good. And we've also got a few figs that are starting to set some main crop figlets. So we'll take a look at all that, and our in-ground trees here are looking really good, so we'll take a look at those first. Okay, we'll start the update with our in-ground fig trees. This one is the Laterula, also called the honey fig. So it has got tons and tons of Breba figs on it. So this is the first year that I've ever had Breba figs on this tree because it's just had so much dieback every single year. But this has been a really good year. We had a pretty mild winter, so we've got tons of figs. I haven't even counted them all, but there's probably at least 40 figs on this tree, and the largest one is on this branch here, so that's a big one. So I've ordered a net off Amazon, actually 2 nets off Amazon, so that I can cover a couple of these in-ground figs so that the birds can't get to these figs, because I think the birds are really going to have a feast if they catch wind of these figs. Here's the other in-ground tree that made it through the winter. This is also the first time this one has produced Breba figs. This one is called the Olympian, and it's not nearly as productive as the Laterula. We've probably only got, I don't know, maybe 8 figs off of it, but the largest one on this one is this one here. So it's a pretty good size. So I've got a net that I'm going to be covering this with here before too long as well. It doesn't have as many branches, so not as much fruit, but maybe it will get more next year. But I don't think this one is really going to be ever as productive as Laterula, because that's supposed to be one of the more productive trees you can have in this area, at least for Brebas. Now, what I didn't show you last time is this fig tree. So this is our 3rd in-ground fig tree, and this was not in the ground in my last update, so that's why you didn't see it. But this is a Desert King. This is my second try at doing Desert King in ground. Hopefully I have better luck this time, but the previous one I had, it died to the ground for like 3 or 4 years in a row, and even when I covered it, it still had problems. So this time I'm using a different fig tree from a different source, so hopefully we don't have that problem with this one. We had 4 of our fig trees that had Brebas in our last update that no longer have them because they dropped. So I wanted to show you those. So we've got the Tacoma Violet, and I think I mentioned in my fig update that this one usually drops figs. And sure enough, it did drop the larger one that it had. So here's the one that dropped. It was a pretty decent size, so I was kind of hopeful that it might not drop, but it did. And then another one over here that dropped is the Burgess Hot Grease. And here is the fig it dropped there. Unfortunately, I don't think I've ever had a Breba fig on this one either, so not too surprising. And then another one that had fig drop is the Nero 600. I think this one typically drops the Breba figs as well, but I never did find the Breba that it dropped. It had a couple of decent sized Brebas, so that's too bad. But I couldn't find them anywhere, but they're not on the tree anymore. And the last variety that had fig drop was the Vern's Brown Turkey. I've got 2 of these, and both of them had a couple figs on them, but they both dropped. So this variety doesn't seem to hold on to Breba figs very well. Now let's take a look at what Breba figs are still on the trees. So here's one, LDA. This is one that I missed in my last fig update. It's got 2 pretty decent sized figs on there, and they were hiding pretty well in my last update, so I kind of missed those, but they're looking really good. And then the other one that I missed is, let's see, what is this one? This was the Black Ischia, and it's got 1 fig on it that is pretty decent sized, but there was a bunch of leaves over the top of it, so I missed that in the last update. And then the other ones that we looked at last time are, let's see, this one is the I-258, so it's got 2 pretty good sized Brebas on it, looking really good. And then here we have the Vincenzo. It's got 1, actually no, it's got 2. Kind of hard to see there. So there's 2 Brebas on there, looking good. And let's see, I think the last one we have is this one, which is the Black Greek Marius. Unfortunately, this one is kind of deformed, so I don't know what's going to happen with that. It may end up dropping or just isn't developing very well. I mentioned we've got a few figs that are starting to So that's some main crop figs, which come later in the season, probably end of summer or fall. And we just looked at this Black Greek Marius. Is that right? Yeah, Black Greek Marius, and it's got some main crop coming on as well as the Breba fig there. So that one may ripen early. Another one that's got some baby main crops is the Florea. This is one that I obtained last year from a friend, and it was, you know, it's a pretty mature tree. As you can tell, it's one of my largest trees, but it did not do well last season because it just took forever to wake up. But this year it woke up about the same time as everyone else, and it's starting to get some little baby figlets here on the new growth. And we've got St. Martin. This one probably has the biggest main crop figlets on it. Those are looking pretty big, but this is a brand new fig tree that I started last season. So I'm not sure if those are going to reach maturity. It's still a pretty young tree, but I guess we'll find out. And then this one here is the Brown Sugar Crunch, and it's got some teeny tiny, actually maybe just one or two tiny little figlets on it. And then we've got Red Lebanese Baca Valley, and that one's got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 3 baby figlets on it. So I haven't gotten any ripe figs off of that one yet, so hopefully this season we'll get some. And then Vern's Brown Turkey, which I showed earlier, also has a few baby main crop figs on it. We got some there. I think that might be the only one on that tree. But we've got some little babies coming out on the other one as well. So off to a good start there. And then I've got tons of other trees back here putting on quite a bit of growth. Look at how much new growth is on that tree, but no figlets have started coming out on any of these others yet, but they are doing pretty well for the most part. I do want to show one back here. This one is a mystery fig, but I think it could be the white Marseille. This one I've got some clover that seemed to volunteer in here, but I know clover is a good nitrogen fixer for soil, so I decided to just leave it in there. And I did chop this down, and I do need to chop it down again, but I decided to leave that in there just to see if it would help at all. So because this is in the soil, it's very difficult to fertilize with granular fertilizer, so I think it's not liking that too much. The leaves are, well, I've already had a few of them drop, and they're just not as dark as a lot of the other trees. So I think it's not liking this clover as much, and it doesn't have enough fertilizer, I think. So I probably will have to do some liquid fertilizer on that one. Lastly, I wanted to give a little update on our fig cuttings that we started this season. I've got these all potted up into 1-gallon containers, and I've got them here in the shelf in the greenhouse. We've got 3 of these Détresse Esplettes. They're all in various conditions. This one seems to have some maybe fig mosaic virus issues. This one looks a little bit better, but also has some kind of splotchy leaves. And then this one here, the leaves are just kind of yellowing for some reason. So not the best looking leaves on the DTEs. And then next to that, we had one of the Tiger Panache that rooted. This is the really big fat cutting that we had. The leaves are looking fairly well. It's only got 2 leaves that have come out so far, so it was pretty slow to get leaves. And then we've got one of the Grandpa Simon's fig, and this one had a lot of rust on some of the leaves. The newer leaves are looking much better, but I think these were getting pretty root bound in the cups they were in before I potted them up, so they weren't the healthiest looking leaves. And then we've got 2 of the St. Rita's, and St. Rita is actually putting out some Breba, or not Breba, these are the main crop figlets that are coming out there. I'll probably just leave those on and see what happens, but this one looks a little bit better than the one over here. This one has kind of yellowing leaves and a little bit of rust also on some of those. So that is how the figs are doing so far this season. Hopefully we'll get some Breba figs in our next update. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you again soon. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. You can also find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.